Fire Runner is the new for 2025 roller coaster at Lost Island Theme Park in Iowa. This is an RMC Raptor, and it makes a compelling argument to be the best one. I will explain why in this review. Rocky Mountain Construction, or RMC, revealed their Raptor track at the 2015 IAAPA trade show. This will be a single rail coaster. The lone thick spine was intended to eliminate cross ties and also supports to save on costs. This model was originally intended for smaller parks, but the first buyers were actually larger parks in the Six Flags and Cedar Fair chains. Lost Island Theme Park opened in 2022. They had two operating coasters in their inaugural season, an inverted coaster in Nopuco and a kiddie coaster in Locolo. In 2023, the park's launched coaster in Matugani was finally ready. Despite the park having relatively low attendance in its first 3 seasons, they surprisingly announced a new coaster for the 2025 season. This will be an RMC Raptor named Fire Runner. And this is the exact type of park the model was envisioned for. The first 2 Raptors were Wonder Woman Golden Lasso coaster at Six Flags Fiesta, Texas, and Railblazer at California's Great America. RMC later iterated on the prototype layout with Stunt Pilot at Silverwood. This version offered a slightly longer train, but they adjusted a few elements to account for that. Fire Runner has an even longer train than Stunt Pilot, so the layout was once again tweaked to account for that. And I'll get into those changes in the element by element breakdown later in this review. Lost Island placed this ride at the edge of the Mura, aka Fire Realm. This happens to be directly next to Matugani, so this corner of the park will likely be the hangout spot for thrill seekers and coaster enthusiasts. And Fire Runner's presentation is great. These Raptors are always captivating with their unique track style and cartoonishly fast pacing. Then this one is orange track, which fits in perfectly with the Fire Realm. Then since Lost Island is a genuine theme park, it is accompanied by some theming. The lead car is a warrior's face with flame effects around it. The ride has an ornate entrance sign. It is large and flashy. Then the queue routes you through an atmospherically lit cave. I was not expecting this. There are some candles and a throne at the start that's a great photo opportunity. This leads to the station, which is a temple, and I like how the cutback interacts with it directly during the ride itself. And the ride will only look better in the future. The park is still actively working on the landscaping around the attraction. Then, they have plans to add a tunnel after the turnaround drop next season. I visited on the coaster's opening day. After the ribbon cutting ceremony, it seemed like half the park entered the queue all at once. But by the late afternoon, the coaster was a walk-on, which is what you'll find with most days with most rides at Lost Island. I imagine that will be the case with the Fire Runner for the immediate future. This gives coaster enthusiasts a rare opportunity to marathon a Raptor, because the versions of the larger parks typically have long, slow-moving queues. While Fire Runner is the prototype Raptor layout, it features a longer train. There are 2 trains, each seating 12 riders, as guests sit single file like the other RMC single rails. Fire Runner only used 1 train for my visit, and that was fine for the crowd levels. I imagine they preemptively wanted a second train for the future if attendance were to increase. What helps keep the line moving is the continuously moving load platform. This has guests board with a sense of urgency, and in most cases, it did not have to stop. Most people board the train front to back due to the moving load platform. But if you ask nicely, staff members seem to accommodate seating requests. As with the other Raptors, I far prefer the back seat in this ride. So make sure you try row 12 at least once. This offers the most aggressive airtime, some of the strongest airtime of any coaster in a few drops. Riders are secured by overhead lap bars with shoulder straps. These are the newer version of the restraints found in the later Raptors. They are comfortable enough, but I do wish those straps were not there to make the already potent forces even crazier. The only slightly uncomfortable part of the seating arrangement for me is how you have to position your legs. The trains straddle the track, and there's this raised bit in the center, so you need to sit with your legs on the outside and then have your knees pointed inwards. It is not a natural position. It is fine for one ride, but you may start to feel it in your hips if you stay in this position for an extended period. Another important tidbit about this coaster is that it has a 48-inch minimum height requirement. Riders must be at least 52 inches tall to ride Lost Island's other major coasters. So despite Fire Runner's intensity, kids can at least experience it a year or two earlier than the other coasters. Once secured, you ascend the 92-foot or 28-meter tall lift hill. This makes it a bit shorter than the other Raptors with the prototype layout, as the other installations are 105 to 113 feet, or 32 to 34 meters tall. All these coasters have a max speed of 52 miles per hour, or 84 kilometers per hour, so it doesn't make a difference. Heck, the reported height figures themselves could even be off. Practically, these rides all feel equally as big. Then the chain lift is extremely loud, which is what I have come to expect from this model. So forget about being able to hold a conversation with another rider. They will not hear you, but it hoists you to the top at a decent clip. Once at the top, you have a leftward turn. This positions you back towards the park, offering a nice aerial view of the property. Then, you have the first drop. This is a near vertical plunge at 87 degrees. The original two Raptors actually hit 90 degrees in their descents, but the newer Raptors with the prototype layout are a hair shallower due to their longer trains. Still, this drop is excellent. Up front, it offers some floater. But if you're in the rear rows, you get great ejector airtime. You are abruptly and forcibly chucked upwards into the restraint. The pullout then subjects riders to good positive Gs. They continue in the climb into the next element, the dive loop. On Wonder Woman and Railblazer, you don't start the twist until you're at the apex of the element, so you basically have a half camelback, followed by a sharp rotating plunge. This results in powerful ejector airtime before being hit with intense laterals. On the newer Raptors like Fire Runner, you start the twist before you reach the apex. This unfortunately designs out most of the airtime. You now just get a little flow at the apex, especially in the front where you momentarily hang forwards while you wait for the rest of the train to catch up. Then, you have a snappy and disorienting flip back down to ground level. Next is an S-Hill. The train rips over this, offering strong ejector airtime for all. It delivers no matter where you're seated. Then, you also get some laterals here simultaneously. You are banged sideways at the apex on both Stunt Pilot and Fire Runner. Meanwhile, you are level at the apex, albeit briefly, on Wonder Woman and Railblazer. The laterals are lessened a bit with the banking, but the airtime is equally as amazing. This leads directly into the turnaround. The twist upwards has substantial positive Gs, so much so that I routinely start to gray out here. While your vision is still blurry, you then have an elevated S-bend. This sets up the subsequent element, which may be the best moment on any Raptor. The drop off the turnaround is so fast and sharp that it offers an ejector pop for all, even if you're up front. It is particularly unhinged in the back row. The ejector airtime here is sudden and unbelievably strong. Whereas the first drop was modified to accommodate that longer train, I do not believe the mid-drop was adjusted, which is why it is so out of control. And it will be even better in future seasons. The park plans to add a tunnel around the pullout. I suspect this will enhance the already impressive speed, and will likely include a terrifying head chopper. We already get the ladder in the next element, the cutback over the station. When inverted, you narrowly avoid a tower in the station. This takes one of the ride's weaker elements and makes it memorable. Force-wise, it doesn't do too much for me, but that's fine given the quality visuals. Then comes the third and final inversion, a floaty corkscrew. Everyone will be levitating out of their seat here while the train gracefully flips on through it. You then roar around a decently forceful turn, and then you jump up into the brakes. In the front half of the train, you get a solid airtime pop. You decelerate before the final few rows climb upwards into the brakes, so the rear rows miss out on the airtime, but all the moments earlier in the ride more than make up for it. You then slowly return to the station, the restraints automatically pop up, and then you disembark, ending the 1,950 foot or 594 meter long experience. In terms of pacing, few coasters are better. That should be no surprise if you're familiar with this layout. The ride has an unbelievable sense of speed and rapidly moves through the layout. This is apparent just watching this coaster off-ride, and it feels every bit as fast on-ride. Then in terms of smoothness, this ride is very smooth. This is worth monitoring over time though, because some of the older Raptors have developed a bit of a shuffle at points. Those coasters are still smooth overall and plenty tolerable, but it's possible the same could happen with Fire Runner over time. So what would I rate Fire Runner? I would give this coaster an 8.5 out of 10. This is a very good coaster, and it's the best ride at Lost Island. This coaster has some violent ejector airtime, enjoyable inversions, and unreal pacing. It is short, but it's a total rush. And if you get a back row ride, the rating is probably closer to a 9. How does it compare to the other prototype Raptors out there? I will still give a slight edge to the original two, but Fire Runner in the very back row comes darn close. I give Wonder Woman and Railblazer an edge because I prefer how their dive loops are profiled to give airtime. But Fire Runner otherwise matches their intensity and offers a slightly better second half. I would take this over Stunt Pilot, as that version feels a bit less powerful. I think Fire Runner's extra 2 rows compensated for this, resulting in some of the missing intensity from that ride. Then Fire Runner may not have the length of the remaining Raptors, but it has superior pacing. Going in, I figured that Fire Runner would be closer in quality to Stunt Pilot, hence why I predicted that Monster at Adventureland would remain the best coaster in Iowa. However, a back row ride in Fire Runner may beat Monster. Definitely come check this coaster out. It is a wild ride. Those are my thoughts on Fire Runner at Lost Island Theme Park in Iowa. What are your thoughts on this coaster? How do you think it compares to the other Raptors out there? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, I would appreciate it if you gave this video a like, and you consider subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.